greetings, and salutations. Welcome aboard my podcast. I am Jason with Jay's Paradise Travels, and this is my first episode of doing a podcast. So I've been a travel agent for a little bit now, and I've had some friends that have done podcasts, and I thought to myself, maybe I should do one too. And here I am, going to attempt it. Not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. I'm actually more of a listener than I am a talker, but I've had some experience in the travel industry. I've done a lot of traveling myself in my lifetime, and I'd love to be able to share my experiences, share my story with you, and hopefully in doing so, provide you some feedback, some information that might be helpful in your own travels, and if you're comfortable enough, even use me to book the travels for you as your own travel agent. So in this first episode, I figured maybe I could do an introduction to myself and a little bit about myself, how I got into the business, what I hope to accomplish with this podcast, and just a variety of different things like that. And if I don't sound as great as maybe some other podcasts that you listen to, I apologize. This is my very first one, and hopefully as time goes on, I will be better at it. But I've had some help with some friends that have done podcasts. They've given me some coaching tips. One of them was just start recording. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Just start recording, just start talking. So anyway, so a little bit about myself. My name is Jason, and I am living here in Detroit, Michigan. Very lovely city of Motown. For those that have never been here, it's actually not too bad. I know a lot of people don't care about Detroit. It's not like a popular tourist destination, but there's a lot of nice things here. Michigan itself can be a very beautiful state to visit, to see. So I have been born and raised here. For most of my life I've lived here, but yeah, I've also lived in New York, and I've also lived in Houston, Texas. So I've had the ability to live in other places too, in the East Coast and in the South, all different territories, that's for sure. And this is kind of where I guess you could say my home is. I have a wife. She is from California. She actually was born in New York herself, in the city. Her family moved over to California when she was little, and then eventually moved back to New York. So she had a little bit more time there, and then moved back to California. And she was there up until the time we got married. And we got married back in 2010. And at the time I was living in Houston. When we got married, we lived in Houston as well. About 6 months after we got married, we moved back here to Michigan, where I'm from, to help out my parents. My mom had a lot of health issues, and so and I'm an only child, so I wanted to be able to come up here and help them out. So between all of us, we've hit all four corners of the United States to be able to live in. So had some experience in that, I guess you could say, and for the most of my adult life, I have worked, I guess you could say, in the travel industry of some kind. Most of it was in the airline industry. I started in 2006 working for Continental Airlines. If you remember them, they've now since merged with United Airlines. They actually merged while I was with them. I started out in revenue accounting and worked my way up to the staffing department, to the airport as a gate agent, and even as a flight attendant. And I was a flight attendant when I met my wife. It was a cool job. I enjoyed being able to travel, one of the things I love, one of my passions. And I enjoyed serving other people, so that was pretty cool. The schedule itself, no pun intended, was always up in the air. It could be a very hectic schedule. And for a man who just got married, I didn't like being away from my wife as much. Now, I know other flight attendants that are family people, whether they're a husband or a wife, and they make it work. More power to them. Awesome to that. Myself, I like being at home every night with my wife. So I gave that up, and then we eventually moved up to Michigan, and from here I ended up working with a company called Delta Airlines, and I was on the ramp with them for a while. About 5 or 6 years into our marriage, I thought, okay, I've been married for a little bit, maybe go back to in-flight, and I did. I worked with a company called GoJet, and was a flight attendant for like those little smaller planes. I was with them for a year, and I was like, you know what, this is still tough to be away from her. And so I went back to Delta as on the ramp. But with so many things in life, when COVID hit, that threw a monkey wrench in a lot of things. So when COVID hit, I no longer was working with Delta. I was on leave, I guess you could say. And I was on leave for quite a bit. And in the meantime, I needed to make some money. I found a job working in sales. Never thought I could be a salesperson. Never thought I'd get into sales. Although it was interesting, when I was a flight attendant, I never thought I'd be on the ramp, and yet I ended up being on the ramp. So maybe I shouldn't say never do something, because it ended up happening. Anyways, so I got into sales, and the reason I never thought I would be great at sales is because I'm not a pushy salesman. I've never been a pushy salesman. I enjoy being able to interact with people. I enjoy making a rapport with them. Those are good things to be in a salesperson, I suppose. But I've never been one of those people that can talk their way out of a paper bag, and to be able to word things just right so that you're going to make that sale. Never been that type of pushy person, or constantly hounding you about making a sale. Nope, that's not me. And my goal with that is to be able to have a person feel comfortable being able to use me in whatever thing that they're buying. At that time, when I got into sales, it was furniture. And then from there, being able to trust them and be able to make a sale through that. So surprisingly, that stuck with me, I guess you could say, even though I never thought I would be good at sales. I won't be the top selling producer. I'll be honest about that, because I don't have that pit bull dog mentality, I guess you could say, in me. But I definitely am not going to be the lowest one either. So I use my ability to interact with people and just to be warm and sincere with them, and let that speak for me. So anyways, I got into sales, was selling furniture, sold mortgages, and then I thought about it. After a while, I was like, if I'm going to sell something, I might as well sell something that I'm passionate about. And I am very passionate about cruises. I love cruises. I would literally go on a cruise every single month if I had the time and money to do so. And who knows, maybe one day in the future I will. But I love cruises. And in just general, I love traveling. And one of the reasons I was a flight attendant, I did enjoy the traveling aspect of it. I do love traveling. I grew up in a traveling family. My mom, when she was little, her and her family traveled all throughout the States. My dad, he's from Greece originally, Athens. He grew up traveling all around Europe. And when they got together and were married, they traveled. And so ever since I was 4, I think the very first trip I can remember is going down to Disney when I was like 4 or 5. I've been traveling ever since. So I grew up in a family that loved to travel. So that love and passion for traveling is definitely instilled in me. Growing up, we didn't do cruises. I didn't do cruises until much later in my life. But once I got into it, boy, I was hooked. And I'll go into that another time later of why I love cruises so much. But that is a passion of mine. So back to the selling aspect. I thought to myself, if I'm going to sell something, why don't I sell something that I'm passionate about? I'm not passionate about some of those other things that I was selling. I did it for a job, made money. You have to work to pay the bills, obviously. But if I'm going to sell something I'm passionate about. And that was with cruises. So I ended up getting a job with Carnival Cruise Line as a personal vacation planner, PVPs for short. If you're listening to this, you may have one. You may have one that you work with directly for Carnival. And if you do, good. They're good people. And I loved it. Every time I made a sale to sell a cruise to somebody, I was on cloud nine. Loved it, every bit of it. So, but as time went on, though, just as regards maybe the scheduling aspect of it, or whatever the case might be, and just the pressure to have to sell, I ended up leaving it and ended up becoming a travel agent and working on my own. So I like it because now I can kind of work it whenever I want to. And now I have the ability to represent all companies, Carnival included. They're a fine cruise line. They have a lot of good products for them, a lot of good things about them. And I'll even in future episodes talk about my experiences with Carnival Cruise Lines and the cruises I've been on with them. So I can sell Carnival, but now some people aren't all Carnival. Maybe they might be all Royal Caribbean, or they might all be Princess, whatever the case might be. Now I have the ability to sell all the different cruise lines. And I love cruising, so it wasn't like when I worked for Carnival, I hated all the other cruise lines. No, they were one out of many that I find very enjoyable. So, and if someone is a diehard whatever fan of Norwegian or Princess, or pick a cruise line. If you're a diehard fan of it, all right, cool, that's fine with me. So I was able to take what I love, the passion, and be able to sell it. So So I became a travel agent for those reasons, and I love being able to do it. And I also am trying to build up my business, and I was hoping that maybe doing a podcast and being able to reach out to other people, be able to share my experiences, would be able to help in that regards as well. So hopefully you find this enjoyable. Now, a lot of podcasts I know are like reviews. They might review a certain ship. They might review a certain company. What I am planning on doing, I guess there will be some review, I guess, involved, but more so I just want to be able to share my experiences. And I'm the type of person that I like to give it to you straight as regards what I think and feel about something. Most things I do find enjoyable. I do find the good in others and things. I try to always be a positive type of person. But I'll be realistic too if there's some things that I don't care for. So within my experiences, you'll hear things that I did enjoy, and you'll hear some things that I didn't quite care for as well. So that's a little bit of background information on myself, how I got into the business, and what I enjoy doing. Now, on top of cruises, I will say this, another thing that I am passionate about and I love to do, it's another hobby of mine. I guess cruises can be considered a hobby. At least I consider it a hobby, although it's part of work now too. But another part of my hobby is I love to go to see different sports games across the U.S. Growing up, I was into sports. Sports is like my one guy thing, I tell people. So I'm not really into cars. I don't care about cars. What's underneath the hood of a car, I don't care about. Couldn't even tell you. When a car goes fast, that's kind of cool. Sure, I'll admit that. But nope, not a car guy. Not into construction. Don't know how to build things. Don't know how to work with my hands. I mean, I've done a little bit. My dad's into construction, so I have done some things. But just it doesn't get through to me, how to do it and what to do. So not a construction guy. I'd rather just pay someone. You can do it for me. And then working out, I'll go to the gym just so I can eat more donuts later. That's about it. I will exercise for that reason, but even working out, not really my thing. My one guy thing is sports. I have been an avid sports fan ever since I was a little kid. Love to play it, love to watch it. And growing up, we didn't, before I worked for the airline, and we did traveling, we drove everywhere we went. And we only flew maybe a couple times out west, and once when I was about 10 or 11, we went out to Greece. So I flew a couple times before when I worked at the airline as an adult. But growing up, we mainly drove everywhere. And anytime we passed a sports stadium, I'd look at it and be like, wow, that's so cool. I love the architecture of it. I love that there's a game in there going on. I love watching a game. And I love anything live. My parents took me to Sesame Street Live when I was like 3, 4. I don't remember how old I was exactly, but I remember loving it. I love live events, a play, a sports game, you name it. So I love live events. So when I became an adult, I decided to just combine the two things into one hobby. My love of being able to go see sports stadiums and being able to go to see sports games, and just made it a hobby. So my goal is to hit all MLB, NBA, NHL, and NFL stadiums, along with Power 5 schools in college football. And so that's what I do. So part of my hobby is going around to different stadiums across the country and being able to take pictures of outside and inside, and to be able to share that as well. So within my podcast, as time goes on, I will also like to share my experiences at different games as well. If that's something that you want to do yourself and use me to help you with it, I will also help with that. I don't know if people reach out to travel agents to go see sports games, if that's a thing out there or not. Definitely cruises. Cruises are all set up for travel agents to help with that. I don't know if necessarily going to sports games can be, but I guess there can be. There's travel involved if you like it, a hotel, car rental, the tickets itself. So if it's something you want. But even if it's not, again, it's something that I like to share with you, my passion for sports games. So I know this is kind of just an introductory type of podcast, just to get to know me as a person. The reason I figured maybe doing that for the starter, first off, because again, this is my first one and never done a podcast before. I guess I figured, if you're gonna buy from somebody, it's kind of nice to know who you're buying from and a little bit about them. If you go into a store, let's say, for instance, again, I worked at a furniture store, you just say hello to somebody and there's no, there's a greeting, a small introduction, but you don't know anything about the person coming in, and the person coming in doesn't know anything about you. You just have to go in there and hope you're paired up with someone that you mesh well with. And even then, you're just talking business at that point. Not very little does a family background story get told or anything like that. So I figured, hey, I'll use this first episode to talk about myself a little bit, not in a selfish way, but just in a here's a get to know me. If you see me, hear me, you'll know what I'm about, and then maybe hopefully you'll be more comfortable to contact me if you'd like to go on a cruise or on vacation, whatever the case might be. So that's the reason I figured for my introductory podcast, I do it this. I do enjoy interacting with people, though. And I will say, again, I'll reiterate this. I am more of a listener. That's why I am nervous to do this podcast, because a podcast, you have to talk. And I can talk. I hate awkward silence. I can chit-chat and make small talk with the best of them, and I'll be happy to do that. My mom, she passed away back in 2022. Boy, she could be the life of the party. She could talk and tell stories like there's no tomorrow. And I wish I had that. I do to a degree, not as much as she was. She was quite a big personality when it came to that. And I can definitely do some of it, not to that great extent. But what I can do, I use and do it to the best of my abilities to do it. So anyways, so if you hear me rambling or if you hear me unsure of myself or what to say, again, I'm just kind of new to this. Hopefully in time, I'll get better. One of my friends that does do the podcast that gave me a lot of helpful hints said to do at least a half hour. I was like, okay, a half hour. I will try my best to do something like that if I can talk that long for something. If I can, great. If I can't, I can't. Hopefully you still enjoy the podcast. Hopefully you still will learn something. And hopefully you'll, again, whether it's being informative or learn something or being entertained, I'll try to be my best to be entertaining too. I can have a very random personality, very random sense of humor too. Maybe that'll come out as well. But for now, just trying to tell you a little bit about myself and what to expect if you do decide to reach out to me. So looks like I am at just under 20 minutes here. So I'll wrap that up with this going forward. But hopefully you did enjoy this podcast, and hopefully maybe going forward you'll be willing to do more with me. Please feel free to rate, like, subscribe, share, all those good things that help podcasters continue on with their podcast. And feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to go on vacation. I'll talk to you later, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.